The world of NASCAR has lost one of its most foundational and beloved figures. Ned Jarrett, the two-time NASCAR Cup Series champion, Hall of Fame driver, and the father of future racing legend Dale Jarrett, has passed away at the remarkable age of 93. His death marks the end of an era, not just for the sport he helped build, but for the generations of fans who grew up watching him race, who admired his humility, and who saw in him the quiet dignity of a man who loved racing more than he loved fame. There was no dramatic final press conference, no long farewell tour, and no public ceremony to mark his passing. Just the quiet, solemn realization that the man who once dominated the grandstands of early NASCAR is no longer with us. Ned Jarrett was born on June 13, 1932, in Connolly Springs, North Carolina, a small town in the heart of what would become the epicenter of stock car racing. He grew up in a family that loved cars, that loved speed, and that loved the kind of hard work that comes from building something with your own hands. His father was a mechanic, and from a young age, Ned learned how to work on engines, how to fix cars, and how to understand the machines that would one day carry him to victory. He didn't start out as a star. He didn't become an overnight sensation. He started as a young man with a pickup truck, a wrench, and a dream of racing on the local tracks that dotted the countryside. He was not the kind of driver who sought the spotlight. He was not the kind of driver who wanted to be famous. He was the kind of driver who believed that racing was a way to connect, to compete, and to make people feel less alone. That was who he was, and that was why he became a legend. His breakthrough came in the early 1950s, when he began competing in the NASCAR Grand National Series, the precursor to the modern Cup Series. He quickly established himself as one of the most talented and consistent drivers of his generation, winning races, earning respect, and building a reputation as a driver who could win on any track, in any conditions. He was known for his smooth driving style, his precision, and his ability to stay calm under pressure. He was not the kind of driver who needed to be the loudest or the most aggressive to win. He was the kind of driver who could win by being smarter, by being more consistent, and by being more patient than everyone else. That was why he won 2 NASCAR Cup Series championships in 1961 and 1965, and that was why he earned 50 career victories in the Premier Series. Ned Jarrett was not just a driver. He was a teacher, a mentor, and a father who passed on his love of racing to his son, Dale Jarrett, who would go on to win the Cup Series championship himself and become a Hall of Famer in his own right. Dale often spoke about the way his father taught him the craft, the way he showed him how to treat people, and the way he made him feel like he could achieve anything if he worked hard enough. Ned was the kind of father who didn't need to shout to be heard. He didn't need to make grand gestures to be remembered. He just needed to be present, to be real, and to be honest in the way that only a true father can be. That was why Dale became the driver he became, and that was why the Jarrett name became one of the most respected in NASCAR history. After retiring from driving in 1972, Ned Jarrett continued to be involved in the sport, working as a broadcaster, a commentator, and a mentor to young drivers. He was the kind of man who never stopped caring about racing, who never stopped giving back to the sport that gave him so much, and who never stopped believing in the next generation. He was inducted into the NASCAR Hall of Fame in 2011, a recognition of his contributions to the sport, his impact on the community, and the kind of legacy that few drivers ever achieve. He was not just a champion. He was a symbol of what it means to serve, to lead, and to carry the weight of responsibility without ever seeking the spotlight. The exact cause of Ned Jarrett's death has not been publicly disclosed, and for now, that detail remains respectfully private, shielded by his family and the people closest to him. What is clear, however, is the impact of his passing. The NASCAR community has been flooded with tributes from former competitors, from fans, from broadcasters, and from people who grew up watching him race and finding comfort in his words. Some have shared stories of the first time they saw him win a race. Others have talked about the way he made them feel when they were going through the hardest times of their lives, and still others have simply written that his voice was the soundtrack to their lives. Those stories are not just about racing. They're about the way Ned Jarrett made people feel, the way he made them believe in themselves, and the way he made them feel less alone. For fans, Ned Jarrett's legacy will live on in the races that defined a generation, in the trophies that still sit in museums, and in the quiet moments when they watch old footage of him driving and feel like they're being watched by someone who truly understood the craft. He was not just a driver. He was a companion, a friend, and a source of comfort for millions of people around the world. He made racing feel real, made competition feel important, and made the idea of sport feel possible. That's the kind of legacy that can't be taken away by death, no matter how painful it may be. His story will continue to echo through the decades, through the racetracks, through the broadcasts, and through the hearts of everyone who ever believed in the work he did. Ned Jarrett was married to Betty Jarrett, and together they had 2 children, Dale and Judy. He was a husband, a father, and a man who found joy in the quiet moments, in the conversations that mattered, and in the connections that lasted. His family has released a statement honoring his life, his work, and the kind of man he was. They spoke of his love for his family, his dedication to his craft, and the way he made them feel like they were the most important people in the world. Those words are not just about grief. They're about love, about memory, and about the kind of bond that can never be broken, even by death. If you've ever been moved by Ned Jarrett's story, if you've ever admired the way he carried himself with quiet strength, or if you've ever been touched by the way he served NASCAR without seeking recognition, take a moment to honor his memory. Please like this video, and if you enjoy stories about the lives, legacies, and losses of the people who shaped motorsport history, consider subscribing to this channel. Together, we can keep remembering the men and women who gave everything to the sport we love, one story at a time.